Hey traders. Yeah, so we've been getting some questions and a bit of feedback, good feedback, and requests to for a little bit more detail regarding these templates, these Playbook trading view templates or drive templates, however you want to implement that into your work. That's obviously up to you. So let's just look at what it is I'm gonna cover. So I'm going to describe the templates and explain what I think the advantages of those, of using them are, which is specifically around time, but we can go into a little bit more detail of that when we get going here. I'm going to go through the steps and demonstrate the steps to create the templates. I'm also going to give a little bit of information in terms of the workload. I mean, if this is something that you're planning on doing, how many of these you will need to do from the get-go, just in terms to cover lens per day, thinking in terms of ODR RDR sessions. I'll obviously demonstrate how to save. I will explain the naming convention that I use. We will then look at how to edit, refine, and obviously save them again. If you've had enough of them and you don't want them anymore, I will show how to delete them. And then we're going to run through a couple of sessions, and I'll show you how to use them and where the kind of those advantages are. Okay, sorry for making this a bit crude, but it was the best I could come up with. So let's go. So obviously, if we are, how can I say? So the template is essentially a configured drive indicator, which is saved into the trading view system. So if we switch drive on, so we can see here that, you know, we have the DR IDR, you know, and everything else associated with that pops up at the relevant times for the relevant sessions on screen. By double clicking that, this is how we can kind of interact with the data. So what we have here is a Monday. It is ODR. So why don't we have a look at the session data for that? So we ODR. Let's change that to NASDAQ. Let's switch it over to Monday. In this case, it was a long confirmation early, so we're in that first bucket. And obviously here is our data. So the first thing I do is I look at time. I feel that's the most important component of this. I say that after extensive backtesting on the ES and backtesting on other instruments, but not, I must add this point, not as extensive as ES at this stage. And that is irrespective of whether we go mechanical or not. If you go mechanical, and you enter that trade when those modes or that mode, last candle has expired. For me, what I noted was when I was doing the back testing, was that actually it wasn't a bad shout to consider price after time, so and or before. But if, for example, we have a deep retracement into a price cluster, whilst that mode distribution, say for example, you know, this one is, you know, we have to remember that's 3 time slots. So if you've hit, you know, what you consider to be your chosen price retracement cluster earlier in here, and you know, this is the important thing that you're going to enter based on time. I don't see the issue with entering early, because you're going to want the best entry possible for that time cluster, matching and the confluence with the price cluster or price. So, and of course, you know, bullets, right? We have 2 bullets per instrument per session. So let's add this data. So let's quickly look at time here. We have these dominant distributions giving us a cluster running, 415 to 440. So let's just 415, 0415 to 440. Why 440? Because that's when the last candle is. Trading view in terms of the candle time start. The 430 candle is actually the 430 to 435. So the 440 candle is the 440 to 445. Okay. So we've got them covered. We'll come back to this in a minute. There may be something more to go on there. So actually, before we do that, let's make a note of, so we've got 535, 710, 0535. This is the way I do mine, guys, just the way I go through it. Everyone's different. So if you have a different approach. So, you know, we can see this, the way this distribution is kind of is projecting onto the graphs there, that towards the end of the day is where the biggest extension is going to be. So I'm going to run it from 535 to what would be 830. So 0535 to 0830. Let's just check that. Okay, I know they're in the wrong place. We won't worry about that for a minute. Put that there. I should alter it. We will when we have a confirmation. Okay. So what are our distributions? So I'm looking at the high of session, low session, and median max retracement before the 5, the A5 or 05, A half, whatever you want to call it. And to me, we have this little cluster, well, this here, and this here, and I think 9. Okay, so we've got 01 down to, sorry, plus 01 down to minus 01. We had the, so that was there to there. And then we had the 1, the 3. I know what you're thinking, guys, but I will come and revisit that in a minute. There's these 2 here. It's all kind of maybe one big cluster. But there'll be a hot zone within that, and I'll explain that in a minute. Let's see what I've got then. Yeah. So we have a crossover in there. What's gone wrong? Yeah. Okay. So we can see the difference between the 2 sections. Okay, so anything else to take note? Obviously, we're getting into retirement setup with these clusters here, so I'm not particularly interested. So that's what I'm happy with. Just bear in mind, guys, I should say that I've not worked the playbook on NQ yet. So this is a first for me as well. Okay. This will jump up there once we get the confirm. There you go. Okay. So we're in this here, this section here, 04, 415. That's interesting. So we have a low, so far low retracement, which is extended beyond 0.3 with the 4 rejected. And we can kind of see why with those, with that trip there. Okay. That suggests to me a good entry point right there. So this wouldn't be last candle entry, but if we consider these to be our retracement price clusters, then we're in the area where we want to be for a long entry. Let's test that out. So I'm happy with that. Make sure we're right there. Yeah, one tick below. So we're getting a 4.1 to 1 up to the first mode. And what about the second one? Which actually, sorry, this is the second one to the 3D mode. 5.47. I'm happy with that trade. I'm taking that trade there, or I would be if I was live, but of course we're doing this for demonstration purposes. So what we have, we've created an entry into our playbook. I've actually created the template for the drop T for the instrument, for the session, and for the time bucket confirmation. So let's just double check we have everything in here. Should put the targets in. 6. So that's actually 1.2. Yeah, it was only the extension 2, which was to differ. So that would be the mode. I'd be mindful of that, Gib, just there. Okay. So the effectively the steps are we analyze and we look at lens, and from that we pull our clusters that we're going to need into the areas on drive as we would do normally. Okay. Then once we've done that, we need to save. So you'll notice by the indicators, we have 4 little boxes just here. We click the 4 boxes and click save indicator template. Now this is NQ. So I use a naming convention, and the naming convention is really quite simple. It is instrument, day, session, direction, bucket. So I can scroll through, I can find what I need very quickly. So instrument, day, session. So NQ, Monday. ODR, long, bucket 1. I do not select these. I've not actually tried selecting these. I've seen some information somewhere that when this was selected, it caused issues in terms of how one might want to edit or refine the template. So I click save. Okay, so now that will be saved there. So to access We select it and we just scroll to the relevant one that we want. Now, at this point, guys, it's worth me pointing out that in terms of how many of these you would create or create in them, it is a fair amount of work, but you've got to put the work in to anything to hopefully get the rewards. So I just want to show this. So for every instrument, for every day, there's going to be 8 that you're going to need if you're covering bucket 1, bucket 2. And of course, at this point, it's about the data. When you come to work the playbook, at least this was the way I approached it, the data went in or the data goes in, the playbook then is working or work to be done with the back testing, where you kind of see what it is that your selected and chosen entry exit points and what types of trades is that you demand to enter. In other words, waiting for price come to you and all the rest of it. But the start point is 8. You might end up actually the only trade I'm ever interested in if a certain scenario presents is going to be long bucket 1 ODR on that Monday. This is just Monday, by the way. But to get all the data in there for one day, for one instrument, there would be 8 templates required. That should be self-explanatory right there. So we have the instrument, in this case, NQ. We have the day, in this case, Monday. And then obviously they are the header, and then each one of these represents the detail for that header, depending on the direction and depending on the session and depending on the bucket. Hope that makes sense. Okay. So what happens if we want to refine or change something? That's really easy. We just select, the first thing we need to do is drop and ensure that the indicator template is the one on the screen. We double click and we go about our editing in the same way that we would have configured Drive in the first place. So as a quick example, let's say I wanted to add the extra standard deviations in. You'll see these pop up in a minute. For example. And then manually. So they've appeared up here. And then I would go through the process of saving again. So we come back to the indicator templates button, click. We search for what we need, select. I didn't click save. It's too drib off. I got ahead of myself there. Sorry, guys. Let's do that again. So double click. ODR. So that's 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, because I know that is in there. Okay, there they are. So what we actually do is come and save, not select. NQ, that was already in there. You select the one that you want, click, select, save. Do you want to replace? Yes, we do. And that is saved. So let's have a quick look. Let's go back. So now that I've selected that one, I just want to run this through, because obviously now, if you have all these created, we're going to know what's the point of using them in terms of what are the advantages. So I now don't need lens. I have a long confirmation. I would basically go in and select what I need. we can see that that's drawn on. This keeps on happening, or it happens occasionally. It will drop above. Just be aware of that, guys, and don't worry about it too much. So now I have this on there, I can now spend time or have more time to be more calm in up here, more assured, and actually focus not on going back and forth between, you know, lens and drive and lens and drive. That's already done. So we can focus on the other important things, like potentially sniping an entry. Like figuring out, if I am sniping an entry, where are my stops going to be? And does that actually give me the trade that I require in terms of my rule set with respect to risk reward? So your decision making is in some ways taken out of your hands, which is kind of what we want. We have rules and we want to execute based upon the scenarios and rule sets, sorry, the scenarios that present, and kind of meet up against your rules. And therefore, you know, we execute because this is about a series, this is about a season, this is about a set of trades, not just one trade. And if we know, because we've done the work and we back tested and we're that confident in the data as I am, then at some point you've got to let go. You just have to take that and execute. So I'm going to run demonstrate now what this is on. So I'm now, you know, thinking, well, where are my stops going to go if I got an entry? And initially I'm waiting for the cluster, the time cluster. I want to be entering in this cluster ideally. Well, in terms of time, I do. Price might take me somewhere else, but we'll see. Right. So we come down, we break through the DR RDR, and we reject off this little VIB there. Not quite to the tick. We've broken through two of them, but a strong rejection of this VIB here, that kind of later one that's developed. I like to see that. And again, this upper VIB here. So, and obviously outside of the cluster, the price cluster. So I would say this is looking promising. Now, obviously we know, because we did this earlier on in the video, the entry is going to be here for me. I'll explain why again. Yes, I am mechanical back testing, but the point of the mechanical back testing is really, at least it was for me, to give you confidence in the data that actually the most basic of basic entries over a series of trades will net you R. And if it's netting you R, for some people, that gives them the confidence they require in the data and therefore are able to proceed from that point. Fair enough. For me, it was more about the execution. And you start to see things when you do the mechanical testing. It's like, well, why didn't I take the earlier entry? It actually met the criteria, right? Because time and price. Time is your first point, but price is price. And within the cluster that we've identified in terms of price versus time, it doesn't get much better than virtually tagging the bottom. Now, it could have closed there, then the story might be a little bit different because of these VIBs, but I'm happy at this point with that. That's in my playbook. Okay, before last candle time, but we're in the right distribution in terms of lens and prices match. And I hope I'm not emphasizing or overemphasizing that point too much. We're all different. That's the way I approach it. So let's see what happens. Oh, just to explain this, where the stop is, I'm going one tick below the low. So obviously that's a strong breakout of the range, the opening range there. We're up to 3.5 to 1. So we've surpassed 2.2, the 2RR, which within my rule set means I set my stop to break even. And then actively go in management mode in real life. So, nobody wants to give up R. We're still before the media max retracement. But let's follow this through. So target 1 had been hit. First target, which would have given a 4 to 1. That was the minimum requirement of the mechanical entry project backtest. So if we're in that mode, you got 4. I'm not. At this point, I'm in management mode. So I'm bringing my stop, and I need to investigate a better place for that stop, with as much kind of defenses between current price and where I am. So let's note where current price is. We're just below the upper edge of this VIB here. We have this other VIB here, which we know magnetic, and we have this one here, ODR RDR. So this might be a re-entry point, given this year, and given that we haven't hit the mode yet, even though the low hanging fruit has been hit. So for me, I'm looking at a stop, probably. Actually, that's the wrong line. Do I need to see anything left? Some time. I don't want to make this into a back test. This is mainly about demonstrating how to use the and how to configure and use and save the templates. I would be going 2 ticks below there. Is that right? There it is. Okay, press the wrong button. But as you can see, we got to our target, 65.95R. Let's move that across. So how was that differing from the mechanical entry? And was it an entry at this point here? We go back into here. Our mode is the first candle, which ends at 25 past 4. The 25 past 4 candle is there. Are you entering there? No, I'm not. You're waiting for the retracement. But the retracement had already happened here. I've explained my reasons for entering that trade. So get rid of that, turn drib off. I'm doing this. I'm not going through a back testing exercise, but we leave that there anyway. Bit of fun. Okay, let's slow that process down, and we'll wait for the RDR. And then we're going to do the whole thing again. Okay. So we have this contraction. We are kind of expecting a squeeze, I guess. This is more work in this area I need to do. So any comments you want to come back on me on that one, please do. I'm bearing all you guys. I don't care. It's a learning process. Okay. So we're RDR, bucket one confirmation. Let's go back to lens. RDR, NASDAQ, Monday, long, bucket one confirmation. Okay, this is interesting. Now, so we're going to go through the process again of setting this up. So I always look at time, as I've said first. So I have a bigger cluster here, okay? That's going to be running 10:45 to 11:25. So I'm just going to write these down, 10:45 to 11:25. That's time. And then we got MTMR, which is medium time max retracement of 11:30. And then MTME, which is the extension equivalent. That's 13:45. However, as we can see quite clearly, the dominant cluster is at ending at 4 o'clock. 5 to 4. Making a note of that. And what do we have? Okay. So extension wise, we're looking at 8, 9, and 4, 5. Extension, and in terms of retracement, the two dominant. So I'm 2 down to -1. Our first one. Check something there. We've hit the 0.5, guys, right? So we do need to consider this. So that's covered there. You know, I'm not sure about that trade day, given where we know where the extension is. So therefore, RR might not exist. But you know, for me, with regards to Playbook, it's like your preferred trades, right? What your preferred trades are going to be the ones which are probably, in terms of probability, a little bit better, or not better, but also probability in your one column, but your risk reward in another column is good. You know, it's worth the R, worth the risk. So we have them there covered. I'm looking at 2 to 3, 2 to 3. Could be any of them there, but it's dominant here, dominant there. Okay, double click on Drive. Let's enter the details as we do every time. So we got 10:45 to 11:25. We have Z -2. -3. That's right. And then where's 11? That's our data entered. Okay. I don't know about this. I get different results, different times it seems. Okay, but I know that is going to change. We didn't put the extension in anyway, did we? But I think we had. Yeah, that was 8, 9, and 4, 5, wasn't it? So just change that to 9 because I've got the 8 there. 8.4, 8.5. So let's move forward in time. Like I said, guys, that will flip and end up going up here. Probably should take trip on because we're going to be wanting like assessing entries. So some obvious points there, you know, anything in this, anything popping into here, I'm interested because there's a, you know, a nice area for a stop there, and anything coming down and breaking the IDR into this area, I'm interested with my stop below the open. Again, guys, just to reiterate, that's the mode time candle. Probably should mark that. There. Yeah. So we're actually two candles away from that, 3 from entry. Let's have a look. Then, okay. So I think, again, in terms of mechanical time, we're early, but that suits me in this case because of time and price. Now, I may get a deeper retracement, but I have 2 bullets, you know, and you've got to, well, not you've got to, we're in this game to take shots. You've got to trust the data, so you take your shots. So over a series of trades, I do that 10 times. I know that in terms of my R return, because my performance is good, my metrics will be good, I will get a return. So the stop. Stop 2 ticks below the open, but I got to be ready to enter again. Okay, guys, if something goes a little bit amiss here, but we'll see. Stopped out. Okay. But now I'm at last candle. So I'm down 1R there. Let's, one tick below the low. Why one tick below the low? Because it's the mode and it's the time, and really it shouldn't retrace beyond that. Break even at 2. Let's see where we go with this. Oh, look at that. Okay, so that's stopped out. Such a shame. But there was nowhere really else. I mean, maybe you can kind of go under something there. I felt that was pretty decent because we'd closed above all of these fibs. It happens. We take it on the chin. This video is not really about R. It was about the templates and me demonstrating using this, but I am down. So my rules state that I cannot or will not be trading anymore here, but I still walk away with 4R. I go kayaking or go, I like to cook, maybe cook some nice food or do some gardening or take the dog for a walk or go for a cycle, go see some friends, go see some family, life. That's why we do this, because we want more time to enjoy life. So in terms of the objectives, I believe the only thing that I haven't covered is if I wanted to refine and how to delete. So very quickly, just do the same thing again. We select the indicator, and we make our adjustments as we did before. Actually, I think I did cover it, didn't I? Let's say I just wanted to add them on for the RDR, because we did it for the ODR earlier on. Okay, we'll see them appear any second. Fantastic. And then I save that indicator template, click save indicator template. We got to find, because we want to overwrite what we've got. There it is. Save. Oh, actually, this is a new one, because it's RDR. It's a lot of these. So NQ, one, RDR, RDR long, V1. Okay, so I have that in there. And obviously I've showed you how to refine. I guess we could just see how this pans out. Shame really that I don't have any bullets left, because again, I quite liking that particular setup, but let's see what happens. Okay. Voila. Perhaps somebody could respond and tell me where they might have taken that entry after this point down here as a little side conversation. But there you go, guys. That's the video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to. Comment if you want to. Maybe like it if you like it. Whatever. I'm going to carry on doing my work regardless. And hope to contribute more into this amazing community. Cheers, guys. Thank you.